everyone! Welcome to English Learning on the Go, the channel designed to boost your English skills quickly, easily, and with lots of fun. I'm Annie, your host, and this is
Harry, your personal English tutor. We're here to help you learn English in a cool and engaging way. Spend just 10 minutes with us each day, and you'll be amazed at how quickly your communication skills can improve.
All right, learners. Today we will dive into an interesting topic that may be familiar to many of our listeners. First of all, Har, what skill of learning a new language, especially in English, do you find the most challenging?
To me, that could be speaking because I can read quite well and understand what people are saying completely, but sometimes I find it hard to respond myself and don't know how to express it naturally.
Well, me too. We can understand English perfectly, but speaking, suddenly all those words disappear. It's quite confusing, right?
It feels like you have a toolbox full of amazing tools, but can't use them right away.
Absolutely, Harry. And I believe this frustrating situation is terrifying many learners out there.
But don't worry, English Learning on the Go is here to help. In this podcast episode, we will find out the gap between the listening and speaking barrier that hinders you from learning English.
We will also discuss the key to dealing with the communication gap and taking advantage of your language toolbox efficiently.
Here we go!
Welcome back. It's a common problem for English learners. You understand perfectly, but speaking full sentences feels impossible.
I know. I once tried to order coffee in Spain. The thing is, I understood the menu perfectly, even had my order planned out in my head. But when the staff asked, I went completely blank. I had to point out and use body language. That was so embarrassing.
You're not alone. I had a similar experience starting college, surrounded by international students. The language barrier made it incredibly difficult to have natural conversations. Frankly speaking, that's completely normal. It's a common challenge, and it's something we've all struggled with.
That's right. Speaking English fluently is a skill, and like any skill, it takes practice and the right approach. Even though I have learned Spanish for a few years, but I'm still wondering why the listening-speaking gap still exists.
Great question. One big reason is simply a lack of practice. Many learners listen extensively, but they don't speak enough.
That's logical. Listening is passive, while speaking is active and requires a lot of effort. So, you have to use the language to improve.
Exactly, Harry. Besides, in my perspective, another reason is they may fear making mistakes.
Makes sense. I often face that fear whenever I confront a native speaker. I'm afraid of speaking directly with them since I'm not confident in my English grammar.
This fear can stop you when speaking, even if you understand everything perfectly.
I see. So it's like being afraid to jump into the pool because you think you might sink.
True. Another matter is many learners translate English words into their mother tongue before speaking, which slows their thinking and reduces their response speed. This is called mental translation.
That must be exhausting because you have to take time to continually translate every sentence before you say it.
It is, Harry. It makes for pauses while people wait for you. And it's just not polite to be looking up words in the middle of talking. I feel a bit awkward and unnecessary.
So the thing is, we should think in English, right?
Right, you are. If your brain is trained to think quickly in English, it can be easier to keep up in a conversation. It's all about improving your ability to switch between languages without thinking too much about it. That also takes us back to the practice. The more you speak, the better your brain gets at processing and producing English naturally.
It's like we practice doing exercises day by day and you have to think in English.
Agreed. Just like muscles, it needs regular workouts to stay in shape. Your brain needs training too, to deal with the communication gap.
I understand that. However, learning to think in English takes time and practice. It's not an instant change, but a slow process of changing how you think, right?
Ideally, yes. The learning process is the same as riding a bike. You don't just do it perfectly right away. It takes practicing, and you'll get better over time.
I know. So how do we do that? Any tips?
The first step is to deal with your mind about the imperfection. I mean, the fear of speaking wrongly. Don't let the fear of speaking incorrectly hold you back. You have to accept that it's okay to make errors since nobody is perfect. Even a native can make mistakes sometimes, so just go with the flow. Just relax, speak freely, and don't worry about being perfect.
I got it. Fight the anxiety by embracing errors and practicing speaking freely and frequently.
Bingo! There is one technique you can apply to make the learning process more chilling, which is to try and associate English words directly with images or concepts, rather than translate them through your native language. For example, instead of thinking sun, find a word and translate it into your native language. You can try to think about the sun images directly when you hear or think of the word sun.
That's interesting. I believe creativity plays a crucial role in crafting new words and creating direct mental connections.
Definitely. Another helpful strategy is not to miss out on any chances to learn English yourself under the circumstances. Watch movies and TV shows without subtitles, listen to English music and podcasts, or read English books and articles. Anything can help you access to English. The more you expose yourself to the language, the more naturally you'll start to think about it.
So it's about surrounding yourself with English.
Absolutely. And don't underestimate the power of speaking, even if it's just to yourself. Another useful tip I often practice at home is self-talk. You can try it right away and every day because it is simple and totally free.
Me too. I often role-play myself with dialogue and try to talk in English to practice speaking. It's easy and free. You can do it anytime.
Yeah, take advantage of your free time. Whenever you're doing chores or cooking, try to push yourself to talk as much as possible. Be creative, thinking of any topics coming to your mind. You can talk about your day, a friend's story, a movie you saw, family news. Recently. It might feel odd at first, but it's great practice for building sentences without the pressure of a real conversation.
That's a good tip. I guess it's about making English a part of my daily life.
Oh, and don't forget, recording yourself is a really good idea. It's amazing how much you can learn by listening back to yourself.
Noted. We might hear things we didn't notice while speaking, and it helps us see where we're improving and what still needs work.
Yeah, this method is incredible. Not only can you check your pronunciation through the records, but you can also speak English continually through your own situation.
A bonus tip to improve your pronunciation is to try the mimic technique, listening to native speakers and imitating their pronunciation and intonation.
Wonderful. Try to choose someone whose English you admire and listen to how they speak. It's not just about copying, it's about understanding the flow of the language by listening to recordings. Next time, try repeating what they say, matching their tone and even their facial expressions.
So, I should start talking like I'm presenting the evening news. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
If it helps you improve, go for it. But remember, it's about learning subtle pronunciation nuances, not just mimicking for fun.
Got it. Sounds fun, though. Could this help with slang and idioms too?
Absolutely. You'll pick up the casual language that textbooks often miss. Don't try to do everything at once. Start with something manageable, like learning 5 new words or having a short chat with someone at the store. And remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint, so setting small goals is a great strategy. Small steps make a big difference.
So it's about being patient and durable?
Exactly. Be patient with yourself, celebrate small victories, and don't be afraid to make mistakes because every mistake is a learning opportunity. Keep practicing yourself, and you'll find yourself thinking in English more and more naturally.
I love that approach. It's turning the journey into something exciting rather than stressful. All right, learners, it's time for us to take a quick look through our today's conversation. The main reasons for this listening-speaking gap, including, number 1, it is the lack of practice. Listening is a passive process, while speaking requires you to be more active and practice continually. Number 2, fear of making mistakes is also another challenge when learning English. This fear can prevent learners from speaking even when they understand. Number 3 is mental translation. This is a common issue when learners try to translate what they heard into their native language. This keeps slowing down thinking and response speed.
Here are tips you can try to break this gap and improve your speaking. First, try to boost engagement by surrounding yourself with English through movies, music, podcasts, etc. Secondly, try to learn English through self-talk and role-playing. This is a free and simple method you can try at home by practicing speaking aloud, even to yourself, to improve your flow of speaking. Next, mimicking native speakers. Improving pronunciation and intonation by imitating native speakers. This is the best way to enhance your communication skills and boost your self-confidence in a conversation. And don't forget about recording yourself to check out and improve your mistakes through self-assessment. Try to be more creative, training your brain to connect English words directly with images or concepts rather than translating them into your language. And last but not least, embracing your mistakes. Accepting that errors are a natural part of the learning process requires you to set small, achievable goals. By breaking down the learning process into manageable steps, you can find it easier to approach English and break your listening-speaking gap.
That's the end of today's episode. Thank you for sticking with us till the end, everyone. I hope this content boosts your confidence in speaking to anyone else throughout the world.
Remember, everyone, speaking English fluently starts with believing in yourself and embracing every opportunity to practice.
A bonus tip that is free and simple to improve your English is to maintain your learning process with us through this podcast. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel to learn English smarter.
If you enjoyed this episode, comment on the below box to let us know your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you.
Keep learning, stay curious, and we'll see you in the next episode.